And you are watching Prime Time Asia. Let's take a look at the top headlines coming out of the region. The United States and India sign a 10-year defence framework agreement aimed at boosting regional stability and military cooperation. US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth says the deal enhances coordination, technology sharing and deterrence after talks with Minister Ranjit Singh. Japan's new Prime Minister Sumy says she raised serious concerns over the South China Sea, Hong Kong and Xinjiang in talks with Xi Jinping. At the APEC summit in South Korea, Takaichi, Japan's first woman leader, says she still seeks a strategic and mutually beneficial ties with China. Chinese President Xi Jinping meets Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney in South Korea, with both leaders pledging to strengthen bilateral relations. The talks on the sidelines of the APEC summit come as Carney accepts Xi's invitation to China and it seeks to expand trade beyond the US. Pakistan says a ceasefire with Afghanistan is holding after receiving assurances from Kabul amid tensions following deadly border clashes. Islamabad confirms Turkey will host new peace talks in Istanbul on November the 6th, the first since the Taliban returned to power in 2021. Vietnam's government says at least 13 people are dead after torrential floods swept through central regions, submerging homes and historic sites. Residents in Hoi An began cleanup as waters recede, while images show parts of the UNESCO-listed cities of Hue and Hoi An still underwater. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te says the island will never accept China's one country, two systems framework and will defend its freedom and democracy. Lai's remarks come after Beijing warned it will not rule out using force over Taiwan while offering limited autonomy under its Hong Kong model. Israel launches new strikes on Gaza for a fourth straight day, killing 3 people according to Palestinian officials. Residents report heavy shelling and gunfire in northern Gaza as Israel insists it remains committed to the US brokered ceasefire. The International Committee of the Red Cross calls on Israel to lift its ban on visits to Palestinian detainees, saying such checks pose no security threat. ICRC Director General says that access is crucial for humanitarian monitoring and should not be restricted under national security claims. Now we of course start in the Indo-Pacific, and Chinese President Xi Jinping has urged Japan's new Prime Minister Sumy to avoid letting differences define the relationship between the two countries during their first face-to-face meeting on the sidelines of the APEC summit in Gwangju, South Korea. Xi has called for managing disagreements in a constructive manner and maintaining the political foundation of bilateral relations, especially on key issues such as history and on Taiwan. According to local reports, he has said the two sides should not regard each other as a threat. Both leaders have expressed their commitment to building a constructive and stable relationship. Prime Minister Takaichi has said Japan and China agreed to pursue a strategic, mutually beneficial relationship. Let's take a listen into the statements.
今日は習近平主席と初めての首脳会談を行いました。かなり中身の濃い充実した議論ができたと思っております。で、まず確認したのは、日中間で戦略的互恵関係、それから建設的かつ安定的な関係、これを構築していくという大方針でございます。例えば尖閣諸島を含む東シナ海の問題、またレアアースなどの輸出管理の問題、それから邦人拘束についての懸念、それから中国在留邦人の安全性ですね、これを確保していただきたいといったこともお伝えしました。
Takaichi, Japan's first female prime minister, said she had spoken frankly with Xi about pending issues, including Beijing's export controls on rare earths. She also emphasized the importance of dialogue and cooperation to reduce tensions and build trust. Now we're joined by our guest, Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at the Hudson Institute, and he joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Nagao, on this pressing issue coming out of Southeast Asia. Now, of course, there have been multiple differences coming out of these talks. Could you tell us a little bit further about the relationship between Japan and China and why it is so complicated?
Prime Minister Takaichi is a courageous leader, so that's why she mentioned about many difficult issues. But at the same time, she tried to continue the strategic relationship with China as a business-like relations, not lovely relation. But at the same time, this is a very good and not emotional relation. Why China's relation with Japan was so tense? Because China's, of course, territory expansion. Because before 1970, China hasn't claimed the Senkaku Island of Japan as their territory. But even if the map made in China clearly mentioned this is part of Japan. But after that, China start to change the claim, and they claim the Senkaku Island as their territory. So that is typical example. In case of India-China border, in case of the South China Sea, we can see the same thing. That they change the territorial claim along with their will and expanding. So that's why China's threat is real for Japan. Japan is frontline country when we talk about China. But at the same time, many leaders in the past hesitate to mention about this in front of the Chinese leaders because economic relation is beneficial for these countries, including Japan. So that's why this time, Prime Minister Takaichi sworn in. She was a politician who has fought with the China's territorial expansion for a long time. Courageously mentioned about this issue to the Xi Jinping directly. So that's why there are many differences as appears as a summit, part of summit, but at the same time, this is not meaning this is just beginning of fight. Indeed, this is just a beginning of honest, I think.
Yes, and of course, Dr. Nagao, Takaichi has formally said that she, of course, was a student of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, followed in his footsteps, and also a hawk of China's policy. She's reeled back on Beijing now. Your thoughts on that, and if that will continue as tensions, particularly in the South China Sea, begin to increase?
We can remember what happened between the China and Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the mentor of the Prime Minister Takaichi. That time when the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe visited China, of course, shaking hand, both faces not so smile. So that's why this picture itself is indicating the relation between two countries was bad. But that 8 years of the Shinzo Abe, the Japan-China relation was stable. So what will happen between Japan and China is, of course, because Japan's Prime Minister is honest and mentioned about the China's threat, Japan and China can talk based on the honest manner. China is threat, Japan can say China is threat. And in this case, business with China is important. Yes, Japanese leader can say that. That is honest-based relation. So China does not like this Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, they dislike. Takaichi also, they dislike. But relation could be stable because what they need to say is clear And when one leader say honestly, in this case, other side do not think they are weak leader.
Yes, Dr. Nagao, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. It's a pleasure to have you on. You are staying with us, of course. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te has reaffirmed that the island will never accept China's one country, two systems model. He has said that Taiwan must safeguard its freedom, democracy and national sovereignty. Speaking at a military base in northern Taiwan's Hakkou, President Lai has emphasized that the Republic of China, which is Taiwan's formal name, and the People's Republic of China are not subordinate to each other. He has also reiterated that Taiwan's future can only be decided by its 23 million people. Additionally, Taiwan has also continued to strengthen its defense capabilities. So far, it has received 80 out of the 108 M1A2T tanks ordered from the United States, which is its key security partner and arms supplier. Meanwhile, across the Taiwan Strait, growing tensions are also being felt in the Philippines' northmost province of Bataan, which is just 140 kilometers from Taiwan's southern tip. Residents say there that they are increasingly worried about becoming caught in a potential conflict between China and Taiwan. We are once again joined by Dr. Nagao. Now, of course, there has been threats of this for a while. We have seen military training drills around the self-governed island for months now, along with provocative statements or coming out of Beijing. Now, what, Dr. Nagao, is this one country, two systems model, which Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te has reaffirmed that Taiwan will not be a part of?
Yes, this is clear because we can see what happened in Hong Kong. This system means that this is only one system. So that's why China controls the opinion in Hong Kong. There is no difference in the city in China and the city in Hong Kong. So that's why this China's claim that is not interest of Taiwan is clear. Taiwan has been already enjoying the freedom and independent status currently. So that's why Taiwan need to accept such kind of the China's system, which China try to control and limit the freedom. This is not comfortable, it is clear. So that's why, as an honest manner, President Lai clearly said, in this case, this opinion is clearly understandable view from the many other countries, I think.
Yes, Dr. Nagao, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. It's always a pleasure to get your insight. Now we move on over to South Asia, and Pakistan says a fragile ceasefire with Afghanistan is holding for now after receiving what it calls assurances from Kabul. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Tahil and Rabi told reporters in Islamabad that Pakistan will respond to any provocation, but noted that the situation along the border remains calm for the time being. The announcement comes just a week before a new round of peace talks set to take place in Istanbul on November the 6th, with Turkey playing a key mediating role. And also in a related statement, Pakistan's foreign ministry has said that it hopes for a positive outcome from the upcoming dialogue. Let's take a listen into it.
Pakistan would continue to remain engaged in the mediation process and hope for a positive outcome for the 6th November talks. Pakistan highly appreciates the constructive role of brotherly countries of Qatar and Turkey. They've been making their best efforts for an amicable and peaceful resolution of the issue.
We are now joined by Major General Dr. Rajan Kochhar. He is a senior strategic and defence expert, and he joins us live from New Delhi. Dr. Kochhar, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme. Now, this ceasefire between Pakistan and Afghanistan has been suspended after those talks fell through last time. Even though those talks came to no avail, surely it is a positive sign that this ceasefire has indeed been extended until those talks once again in the Turkish city on November the 6th.
See, the Pakistan-Afghanistan relations cannot be viewed from the prism of only Pakistan alone. You have to see that what are the differences of opinion between those two. This ceasefire, whether it is holding or not holding, is not important because it is a very, very fragile kind of arrangement. Because what has to be seen is that Pakistan's main concern is support of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan by the Taliban leadership, giving them sanctuaries in their own country. And Pakistan is very, very clear that they will not tolerate this kind of interference into their internal affairs by Tehreek-e-Taliban, who is being supported by Taliban. So now there is a disagreement to this because Taliban maintains that they are not providing any kind of help or support to the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. So now, in case you want to have a ceasefire or you want to have an agreement, the first aspect is you got to have a monitoring mechanism in place. And who is going to be part of the monitoring mechanism? Is it going to be Turkey? Is it going to be Qatar? Or is it going to be an agency of the United Nations? So this has to be decided first because these ceasefire talks are failing again and again. For one important reason, you have to understand what the Taliban is trying to tell Pakistan is that Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is not an integral part of Taliban. So it is not possible for Taliban to exert control over them because even if they tell them to stop, will they stop? Point number one. Point number two is that if you would actually seen when the Russians were in Afghanistan and later on the Americans came to Afghanistan, it was the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan which was supporting the Talibanis from Pakistan and providing them all a kind of bases in Pakistan and also material support and weapons and ammunition, etc. So there are very strong brotherly links between Taliban and Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. So I don't think it will be possible for the Taliban to sever these links. The third important aspect is, and we have to understand the demographic part of it. There are 17.5 million Pashtuns who stay in Afghanistan. Practically 42% of the population of Afghanistan is Pashtuns. In Pakistan, there are 40 million Pashtuns who are residing in either Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or Baluchistan, and they comprise almost 18% of the population of Pakistan. So if we add these two, we are talking about a sect of people who are 58 million strong and who have been divided by an imaginary line which was established by the British. The bone of contention is this Durand line. And when brothers and sisters will be separated by a line and you start fencing it and you started having resource control there, checkpoints there, you start having crossings there, and there are 18 checkpoints all along this 2,640 kilometers border. It is the longest border which Pakistan has, even longer than the India-Pakistan border. So we are looking at a lot of issues which are still not being discussed, not being talked. So, my analysis here is that no ceasefire, even if it takes place between Pakistan and Afghanistan, is going to last for long, because unless you sit down and sort out point number one, Durand line, point number two, Afghanistan is laying claims on Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as part of Afghanistan, and it's calling it uh, a greater Pashtunistan. So that is also a point of view contention. And the third important and the most important is there are a large number of refugees, Afghanistanis, who are staying in Pakistan. And last year, Pakistan had sent back almost
Yes.
2 to 3 of them, and still 7 to 8 lakh refugees are residing in Pakistan. And the Pakistan Foreign Minister, Defense Minister, has made a statement that we are going to identify these refugees, and we are going to evict them back to Afghanistan. So once you create this kind of an environment or of distrust, and this kind of environment that you want to send back those people who have absolutely no home because they are refugees. They don't have any home in Afghanistan. That's why they've come to Pakistan. So these 3, 4 issues, I think, because unless you sit down and work out a mechanism, and also a monitoring mechanism which has to be acceptable to Afghanistan and which has to be acceptable to Pakistan, this monitoring mechanism, who is going to ensure that there are no Taliban, Tehrik-e-Taliban terrorist camps in Afghanistan? Who's going to ensure that from where the weapons are coming?
Yes.
Who's going to ensure that these people are being pushed in from that side? So I think it's a very, very complex situation. It's not a very easy truce to actually get about this peace deal, as you keep on saying nowadays. I don't think this peace deal is going to fructify until the basic and the larger differences are addressed.
Yes, and Dr. Kachar, Pakistan's main demand, of course, is for Afghanistan to stop using militant groups in its territory. How realistic is Kabul's ability to comply with this, given the internal power dynamics of the Taliban right now?
A very good question, because I don't think Taliban will be able to enforce it. And even if Taliban wants to enforce it, do you think that it's going to kill its own brothers to enforce it? Because what we have seen is that within Taliban also, there are 2 or 3 splinter groups, and at times they don't see eye to eye with each other. They have differences of opinion in different areas. They have got their own dominance. Like if you see on the border, on the northern side and on the southern side, there are different groups. Towards Kandahar, you will find a different set of Taliban people. On to the other side, on the north side, again there'll be different set of people. So it is because you have to understand that this is not like a regular army. These are tribes who have been formed into a fighting force and who have been given weapons. So they don't have that kind of internal discipline as if a commander says, and if passes an order that this has to be implemented, it will be implemented. So these are the problems Taliban is going to face, even if Pakistan tells the Taliban, and even if Taliban agrees to implement these things on ground, will be very, very difficult for Taliban. And now you are also telling them that you control the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is an outfit which is not a part of Taliban, and who have their own independent ideology, who have their own independent way of functioning. So I don't think it is going to happen this way, which Pakistan wants it to happen.
Yes, Dr. Kachar, pleasure to get your insight on that topic. Thank you very much for taking the time. We will, of course, bring you all the future developments leading up to those talks in Istanbul on November the 6th. But next, moving over to Europe, and the head of the security service of Ukraine, Vasyl Malyuk, has said that Ukraine has successfully hit 160 Russian oil and energy facilities so far this year. Malyuk added that Ukraine struck a total of 20 Russian energy facilities in September and October combined. And this comes as earlier Russia launched an overnight attack on the northeastern city of Sumy. The National Emergency Services stated that the strikes damaged a multi-story residential building, private homes and critical infrastructure, injuring 11 people, including 4 children. Local authorities also reported damage to a railway depot where several carriages were destroyed. Okay, we move on now, and Singapore police seize over $115 million in assets linked to British Cambodian tycoon Chen Zi. Authorities launch a coordinated operation across multiple locations island-wide, targeting Chen and his associates for allegedly money laundering and forgery. Police confiscate 6 prosperities and freeze financial assets, including bank accounts, securities and cash, with a total estimated value exceeding $115 million. Chen Zi faces accusations of operating forced labour camps in Cambodia, used as centres for multi-billion-dollar scams. The Singapore police warn of continued enforcement actions against individuals involved in serious financial crimes, emphasising zero tolerance for illegal activities. Well, that's a wrap on Primetime Asia today. Keep watching NewsX World for more international news updates.